Hello, hello. Welcome to Playful Prosperity. Thank you for joining me live and, of course, on the replay. Wherever you may be catching this broadcast, let me know you're here so that I can send you some love and answer any questions that you might have about today's broadcast. So for those of you who don't know me, who are just getting to know me, my name is Cindy. I am a quantum numerologist and wealth activator, and I am passionate about facilitating the redistribution of wealth on the planet. And I believe that that comes through the hands of the people who give a fuck, the coaches, the healers, the teachers, the change makers, those of you who are out there doing service work, who are supporting and helping the up level of humanity. So today I wanted to hop in and share a little bit of a story, because if you've been following me at all, you will know that I just purchased a brand new vehicle on Monday, and I wanted to celebrate that, but I want to give a bit of backstory as to why this is so important and why I shared it so publicly. So for those of you who don't know my journey, I grew up on a farm. I am an ex-cocaine addict. I am an ex-alcoholic. There was a lot of things that happened. My dad passed away when I was 16 years old. And when that happened, I made a decision that the world didn't have my back and that I wasn't worth anything. I believed my dad was my biggest cheerleader. He was the one who always pushed me, who always said, "You have so much potential." And when he died, that was torn away from me. And the way the mind operates, I made a decision in a split second that I was no longer in control of my life and that I was at the whim of everything that occurred to me. I believed that the world was happening to me instead of for me. So through a series of events, I fell into cocaine addiction. I fell into the wrong crowd, abusive relationships, emotionally, physically, and mentally. There was a big journey that occurred as I started clearing this karma of this pathway that I chose for myself. Now, when I look back at my past, I am absolutely grateful for every single moment of it, because if it weren't for those moments, I would never be where I am today. But let's fast forward a decade or two, dating myself now, but let's fast forward into the last 9 months. So for those of you who've been following me for a while, you know I've been calling myself a wealth activator. And if you want to know the rest of my story, don't worry, the book is being written right now. So it's coming. So 9 months ago, I woke up in the middle of the night and I had received this download. You know, when you just get those moments of like, oh, this is it. I don't really know what it means, but this is it. And I wrote down the words quantum numerologist and wealth activator. And my immediate question after that was, what the heck does that mean? I don't know what that means. Now, I had been studying and teaching Mastering the Brain Game for a couple of years at this point. So I understood self-mastery. I understood the way the brain operates. I was sitting pretty well. But what wasn't doing well was my financial picture, my wealth. And the reason for that, I had created this system where I was helping other people build their online businesses. I was focused on getting as many clients as I could, working as hard as I could. I was living PayPal to PayPal, borrowing money from the bank of mom, struggling to get by. In March 2020, I had my first $10,000 month, and I celebrated that in a very big way. But it wasn't consistent, and I couldn't bring that in again. I was still struggling with it, and I'd have ups and downs, and I was all over the place. So in August of 2020, when I woke up to this message, I was like, well, I don't even know what that means. But in September of 2020, Mind Shift began with my business partner, Joy Kingsborough. And in that, she teaches a course called Money Mojo, which I now help facilitate as well. That Money Mojo, I healed massive purpose shame. Now, purpose shame is where we feel like we need to do work, even though it's not in alignment with who we are. So this is exactly what I was doing. I was taking on clients knowing that I could help them, but I was rescuing them. I wasn't supporting them. I wasn't empowering them. I was taking on clients just for the money. In that, I was overworking, I was rescuing, and I was not standing in alignment with who I was. I was not seeing my own value and my own worth. So throughout Money Mojo, I healed that, and I worked deeply for a couple of months on really, truly understanding who I am at the core of my being. Who I am is not a quantum numerologist. Who I am is not a wealth activator. Who I am is not an operations manager. Who I am is someone who deeply believes in her own self-worth and her own value. Who I am is someone who believes when I close my eyes and feel into the space of my heart that I am connected to Source, that I am a part of Source, and that Source courses through my veins. And in that, I understand that I am a creator and I can choose to do, be, or have anything that I desire. So throughout the month of September, I chose to leave my relationship of 4 years. I chose to step out on my own. I chose me. And in doing so, I then started shifting. I had to move, and I live in an environment where there's not a lot for the rental market, but I created an apartment in less than 5 days. Dream apartment. I absolutely love it here. Now, I also was in the middle of launching, so I moved and launched at the same time, and I started running Q, Quantum Expansion. This is also something that Joy Kingsborough teaches within her program Mindshift. It is coming to the world in a bigger way. We will be offering that in the creators Facebook group coming very soon as well. But what happened was, in running Q, in launching, in choosing me, in choosing my own self-value and my self-worth, even in the middle of a move, I had a $15,000 launch without even blinking an eye. It was the easiest thing I've ever done. And I was also gifted a $5,000 course. And so in that, I received $20,000 worth of quote unquote value. But what I didn't understand at the time was I was playing with this energy. I was feeling into it, and I was up-leveling my own inner worth and my own value. And then I taught the course that I had launched, the 21 Days of Wealth. And I up-leveled my wealth again in December as I taught the course. We all know when we teach, we learn it on a deeper level. So this happened in December of 2020, where I taught this course. Then in the beginning of 2021, not that long ago, I made a decision that this was the year. This was the year where I was truly going to understand and activate wealth. And so in all things, I always experiment on myself first and then move it out into the world. And so I started this true activation of understanding what wealth is. I made a decision to incorporate my business. I made a decision that in September, I was going to lease a new vehicle, but I was going to wait until September, because in September, I would be making more money. Now, many of you know I always work with the quantum. Everything is waves and particles. Everything we're seeing in our physical reality is a direct reflection of what's going on between the ears and what's going on in the space of the heart. When we bring the mind and the heart into alignment and they're choosing to work in harmony, that's when we create the beauty and the wealth and the joy and the bliss and the amazingness that we want to create in our life. And so I had to get the desire in my heart of having a new vehicle, of activating wealth, of living a life of adventure and play and bliss and freedom. The desire in my heart, I had to get that on board with the thoughts I was thinking. Or the opposite. I had to get my thoughts on board with what desires that were in my heart. Not an easy thing to do, because our mind is programmed with all these stories, money stories, and how we grew up, what we were taught by our parents, the judgments, the shoulds, we need to be doing things a certain way. And this brand that I run, this rebel brand, was the perfect opportunity for me to own it and to stand in integrity with that truth. And so 3 to 4 days ago, I went for a test drive. And the intention was to feel into 3 different vehicles and which one did I love the most. The intention was not to purchase a vehicle. The intention was simply for shopping. Now, on Saturday, I went for this test drive. I test drove 3 different vehicles. I test drove the one that I'm driving now that I bought. Test drove that first and fell in love. I fell in love. And then I went and test drove 2 other vehicles that I thought I would love, and turns out I didn't. So in this, I had a decision to make because this vehicle that I purchased is not easy to come by right now. Thank you to COVID, things are hard to get across the border. They're not an easy vehicle to get, and I wanted it. But in the want, in the desire, rose up all the triggers, all the stories, all of the crap, oh man, you shouldn't do that right now. People are going to judge you. People are going to say, how can you afford that? Your mom is going to say something. Your brother is going to say something. My whole family is going to judge me. All the stories. Are you sure you can afford it? Etc., etc. When we make a big investment, when we move money out into the world in a way that scares us just a little bit, it brings up all the stories. But the stories are not the universe trying to say, don't go that way. The universe is saying, here's your shit, deal with it so that you can have what you want. And what I wanted was that Jeep. And so I spent the weekend processing all of these old stories, forgiving myself for ever believing that I was not worthy of driving that Jeep, forgiving myself for all the judgments and the comparison and all the stories, forgiving my brother and my mom for what they believe to be true about money, forgiving money for ever thinking that it wouldn't be there and show up for me. All of these stories. And on Monday morning, I walked into the dealership and I paid for that vehicle. 9 months, I went from living PayPal to PayPal, borrowing money from the bank of mom, to signing the paperwork on my own vehicle with no cosigner. This is wealth activation. Wealth activation has absolutely fuck all to do with money. And everything to do with your own inner worth and what you believe to be true, what you believe to be possible for you. I believed in the possibility for myself, and I'm here to tell you that if I can do it, so can you. If I can raise myself from the darkness of cocaine addiction to less than 20 years later buying what most people would assume an expensive vehicle. I don't like that word, expensive. Nothing is expensive. The value is in what you get out of it and what you see in it and what it does for you and how it makes you feel. But I created that feeling within my own soul first. So my question to you, and the purpose of this story today, is to ask you, what are you worth? Do you believe that you are worthy of having what you want? And are you willing to choose that for yourself? Are you willing to walk through the fire of your stories and the bullshit that people have told you? Are you willing to choose your fucking dream? And if you are, lean in, walk through the fire, choose what you want, choose to believe that you are worthy, and take a leap of faith. I love you. I believe in you, and I see your power.